It's the Behind the Shade show.
Do you think some people get trapped in a label, either from society or maybe from themselves?
I mean, 100%. I think, that again is the piece of labels that's so limiting because we're all so incredibly unique that we can't fit in one box. And I think there's some people that have felt like, oh, I finally have a word to use to describe what I've been dealing with. And there's a relief there, but then they can tend to over-identify and also create a victim mentality around it, which is never helpful, right? You want to be able to acknowledge, okay, this might be a piece, but it's not all of who I am. And I want to figure out how I can manage this the best I can so that I can live the best life that I want. So I'm a life coach also. So I'm always trying to pull people towards creating the life that they want. And we're going to unblock anything that's keeping you from that. And a lot of times the blocks are limiting beliefs.
What impacts does limiting beliefs have on people?
Oh, I mean, they're massive. In terms of a lot of it's based in our subconscious. So before the age of 7, we have absorbed, you know, all of these messages from childhood that have created these limiting beliefs that we might not even be conscious of. So a lot of times it's trying to figure out and make conscious what limiting beliefs people have in the present that are connected to the past. Because until you can make that link of understanding where it's coming from, we can't get to the root and like pull it out, if that makes sense. So we all kind of have this like computer operating system that's no longer working for us and we're not upgrading it appropriately. And so we're stuck reliving the same patterns over and over and over, which, you and I were talking about abuse victims earlier and how there can be that pattern of being in the victim role that just continues to play out over and over unless you really get to the root of where that originated and start to make the changes in your life so that you're no longer a victim in future relationships. But it takes a lot of work and conscious process to get there.
I had a conversation that I'll share with you about that. Me growing up, I wanted to hear words of affirmation, to quote the book, The Five Love Languages, right?
Hmm.
The reason why I wanted that is because I didn't hear from my parents.
Yeah,
And the only time I got attention or validation growing up was when I did well. And I was able to do well. And what do children do well in early on? It's either sports or school, right? And a lot of time the
yeah.
sports is in the school,
Hmm.
right? So it's within that building. You do well in this building, then
Right.
usually to a degree you get your parents' attention, affection, and validation. As I grew up as an adult, in my romantic relationships, I would look for the same
Right.
because that's what I wanted. And when I look at limiting beliefs now, when someone thinks that they're not good enough, they have to overperform, I wonder how much of that we can trace back to their childhood where that the love was conditional. I
A
will give
hundred
you
percent.
attention, I will give you love if you get A's, spelling bee champion, gold medal. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on maybe some of the origins of the limiting beliefs for adults who are struggling with it?
Well, I mean, that is a really big one. And, unfortunately, in the generation that we grew up in, emotions were difficult for our parents' generation. I mean, they came out of the Depression, they were just struggling to get food on the table. And so sitting down and really tuning in and asking how you feel was not something many people experienced growing up. Um, but what you're really craving as a child is connection, love, sense of security and safety. And I specialize also with attachment. And so when you're not feeling secure and connected and attached to the people in your family, you look elsewhere for it. And it never really fulfills that need, right? So then people are performing and performing and they're still feeling empty inside. And so it's a never ending cycle of performing in one way or another. And so, unfortunately, in our society, it there's a lot of benefits to that because you can make a lot of money, you can be successful, you can have a lot of friends in this mode. but you're never really going to feel the love that you really are craving. So, like you said, even though you were looking for that in relationships, you probably also were wanting something deeper, but not knowing what that was that you needed, right?
100%. 100%. The only way I was able to fulfill it was to realize that it has to come from within,
Yes, yes.
right? Would that
And
be
so
probably the best way to
how did
phrase
you
it?
come to that point for you?
Fortunately, I was in my 20s when I came through it. Like, I
Mm,
talked earlier that we work with people that are older, so I don't know
yeah.
how I would have struggled in my 40s and 50s, but I came to that realization because I looked around me and everything was failing.
Mm,
My relationships were failing, my friendships were failing, and the only common denominator was me. I'm not so arrogant, Maria, where I blame everyone else.
right.
Right? Some people would be that, right? Some people like, oh my God, my city, oh my God, my country, oh my God, every single woman on this planet is a gold digger, right? Whatever term you want to come up with, right?
Yeah.
Once I realized what was going on and I was the architect of my own disaster, I decided that, you know what, let me be the architect of my success.